you all are. There was a gap of some days. It was a pre-decided scheduled break, and now we are going to rock it. Yes, hope you have completed all your backlogs for the residential status, agricultural income, so that when I take the total income problem, you are ready for it. The most important and challenging part is the second class of the residential status. The first class is the background, which some of you may be given the exam earlier and could not do it. You will feel it's a repetition. Okay, we know the concept, 182 days and all. But the more you apply it and solve professional exam level question is most important. Okay, we are beginning the class just with 3 minutes of breathing. Breathing is the only thing which helps you more to be in the present moment. And the more you have control on the breathing techniques and on your breath, the more you will be able to handle the stress, the emotions, the deviations or distractions in the studies. You will be able to bounce back because you are having a control on the breath. You're automatically having the control on your emotions. So trust me, when you have trusted for the procedure of learning from me, writing chapter-wise exam, scoring exemption, yeah, okay. Yeah, hope all of you have ordered for the book. Those who have ordered already, we have sent the tracker. You can track, and last week Shivratri holiday was there, but you will definitely receive the material in 1 or 2 days. If you have not ordered, please order it, because DT, IDT, even if you have asked for and we have given you the PDF, you will not be able to study that properly with the PDF. Okay? Right, chalo. Close your eyes, and we are doing simple technique called as Bhramari Pranayam. There are many ways you can close your ears with your index finger, or you can close all your 5 senses, right? But we are just doing the simple version. Breathe in normal and deep. And when you breathe out with a humming sound as long as you can and emptying your stomach. Do it with me and feel the difference. Whenever you're feeling slight sluggish or you want to sleep or want to take a nap, and before you go to bed, make sure you do it at least for 5 to 10 counts. It will help you to have an amazing quality good sleep. It is like imbibed in my DNA. So I'm telling you, anywhere if I am in sitting with group of friends or with family, everyone knows me. Iska body clock है. Sleep at 10:30, wake up at 5:30. Sometimes when it is a family function, we do have to wake up, but just saying. So it's the healthy habit which has come with the help of pranayam. Let us begin now. Any confusion is there in pranayam, you can put me a message, unmute and speak up. 5 counts will do, right? Breathe in. Breathe out with a humming sound. Still normal and deep. Let's take 2, 3 normal breaths. Feel that resting. Putting your 2 these palms on the eyelids. Oh yeah, eye palming also helps a lot because we are having so much screen time, mobile time, laptop time. Is my voice not clear? Sure. I need actually, there are so many counselings which are due for 12 student and all, but this week definitely I've made a target to get a microphone. Actually, what is it? Is the AC sound coming in the background? AC is on. My volume is not clear. From here to it is full, beta. Okay, so here we begin with house property chapter. We have completed the tax rates, the special rates, the residential status, and the agricultural income. We have also completed the default tax regime up to a limit. Now, actually starting with any SSE who is liable to pay tax must be having income from all the five heads. So the first head is income from salary. But there's a reason why I don't want to start with that. Coming 5 to 7 days are you're having a grip in the subject in Dipti ma'am's teaching and getting 100% confidence. So we are beginning today with all the concepts of income from house property. Okay, this is the second head of income and it says there should be an owner. It is called income from house property. There should be an owner. There should be a tenant who has taken the property on rent. And there should be a property. Though the name of this head is in, I'm giving you a gist in the coming half an hour. Keep patience. Don't expect me कि मैं जल्दी से problem शुरू कर दूं. But when I do the advanced level problems in 5 minutes, you will be able to do the problems with me. It's 100% guarantee. Even if you're watching this in YouTube or anywhere in the app, please make sure you have the material. The first 4 chapters material is freely available in the website, in the app, in the free resources everywhere. So download that, take a print so that at least you can complete the agricultural income, the residential status and the house property with me. So now there has to be an owner, there has to be tenant and there has to be property. Property doesn't mean only the residential property. It could be commercial property, go down, depot, offices, all, anything. But there should be owner, there should be tenant. Any rental income owner is getting from tenant will be taxable under this head. Okay? Right. So over to the notebook so that we can write our booster notes. Check, I'm sharing now. Thank you. Sure. We'll do something for this. Yeah. Starting with income from house property. There has to be a property. There has to be a property. It could be house property. It could be commercial property. Anything. Not open land. If you let out your open plot for yoga camps or a students fest and all, yeah, then that's going to be taxable in income from other sources because there's no building. So these are the questions asked in exam. Open plot, open land, rental income is taxable in income from other sources. Here there should be in property. There has to be owner of the property and he has made an agreement and given it out on rent. Now, rent which is received by the owner is taxable under where income from house property. Now, whenever we say, oh, what is your income? So we'll say, okay, Dipti ma'am's receipt and Dipti ma'am's Zoom and internet and laptop and this and that expense. Are you getting? Income minus expense is the net income. Now I am saying compute the rental income. So rent related expenses are also there. So there's a format in how to which compute the income. For that, the next thing we should know is what are the types of the house property income which are taxable here. So here we go. What are the house property incomes which are taxable? Okay, right. Do you know what are the house property income? You can put it in the chat box. What are the house property income which are taxable? Yes. First one is self-occupied property or unoccupied property. Unoccupied property, self-occupied or unoccupied property. Now, what do you mean by this? Oops. 1 minute, please. Unoccupied property or self-occupied property is any property where the assessee himself stays in his own house. So he cannot have rental income from himself. I hope you are getting. I'm the owner of this house and I'm staying here. This property is called as self-occupied property. Now here there's a little twist which is asked in exam. What's the difference between self-occupied and unoccupied property? I'm having this one house in Hyderabad. I'm staying here. So this is my self-occupied property. Now, due to my son's education requirement, I shifted to Bangalore and I'm staying there in rented house. But this house, I'm not giving on rent to anyone. It is unoccupied. It is vacant. Whenever there's a vacation for my son in Bangalore, both of us will come back and stay in Hyderabad for 15 days, again go. I hope we are getting. Self-occupied is the property where the assessee himself stays and he cannot get rental income from himself. Unoccupied property is assessee's property which he is not occupying because of job or any other requirement, and that property is vacant, unoccupied. That will also be treated as self-occupied. Now, income from house property, there's a chargeability section. You know what do you mean by chargeability section? Knock, knock. Oh, there's an owner, there's a tenant, there's a property. Aaja. Rental income you can charge here. Section 22. I'll make you learn the important sections. Like there's an employer and employee relationship. An employer, you are paying salary to employee. Section 15. Aaja. Income from salary. So this chargeability section says assessee can treat any two of the properties as self-occupied. But we know there are celebrities, cricketers, film stars. They are having more than one houses. For example, just say a random example, say Govinda is having one house in Mumbai, one house in Lonavala, one house in Dalhousie, and one house in Goa. Wherever he wants, he will stay. So how many houses he are having? 4, self-occupied. Mumbai, Goa, Lonavala, and Dalhousie. Any two of the houses he can treat as self-occupied. The government is saying, दो घर बहुत है रहने के. To stay 2 houses are more than enough. Then the houses other than 2 which are those self-occupied will be treated as DLOP. Deemed let out property, and this is the only head where you pay tax on notional basis. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? Anything which I teach, if it is not clear, do let me know. And I request everyone to join on time. I know you will give me a very rock solid reason because when you have invested your money with me, more than me, you are keen to take every worth of the penny. Yeah, I do understand. And whatever reason you give of joining the late, Dipti ma'am will accept क्योंकि आप हमारे ही बच्चे हैं. But will you be able to write reasoning in final exam? Yeah, I missed the introduction and the revision and this and all. So I'm not able to attempt house property. Can you write that reason in final exam? Nahi na. So make sure 10 minutes before 11 you all are here. You will get the amazing benefits. Sirf aap trust karo mere ko. Pakka. Chalo. So now what is self-occupied property? Where you are the owner of the property. Yeah? वो feeling कैसी होती है पता है? You go to a movie and buy. Some chance you didn't want it to be late, but you are late. 15 minutes of the movie is over, and you are looking here. There कोई तो बताओ 15 minutes में some important thing happened and you are not getting the link. That feeling, if you don't want to get, then make sure you join on time. Sure. Now, self-occupied properties. Any two of the properties can be treated as self-occupied. Ma'am, I have 3 properties and all the 3 I have given on rent, let out. Can I treat any one as self-occupied? Answer is no. So now we need to go to our notebook and write it properly. What are the types of the properties. Self-occupied property or unoccupied property are the property which you are owning, you are using, or it is vacant. Or it is vacant. How many are allowed? 2 SOPs allowed. I want all of you to write. These are running notes, but one day before exam also, if you scroll 15 minutes, you should be able to write the booster note. Sorry, I missed out. We are writing all the booster notes in the red color and question answers in blue or black ballpoint pen. Self-occupied property or unoccupied property, any two of the self-occupied property, okay. Other than two self-occupied property, remaining self-occupied property, like I gave you the example of Govinda, will be treated as deemed let out property. It is treated. Tell me, is this clear to all of you? It is treated as deemed let out property, and this is the only head whereon notional rent tax to be paid. Ma'am, I have 4 houses in Goa and Dalhousie and Mumbai and Lonavala, but I'm not getting any rental income. Sorry, only 2 will be allowed as self-occupied. Remaining 2 will be allowed as deemed or assumed let out, and you will have to pay the tax on that. Ma'am, how will you get to know rental income? Nearby area, whatever may be the rent, we can get. And there are more sources. Now, what is LOP? This is SOP. This is DLOP, deemed let out, and LOP. LOP is let out property which you have given on rent. Anyone is having any doubt until now, say, even if you're using mobile phone and not able to type in chat, put me a thumbs up if this is all clear, or you can put me a message, AC, all clear until now. Because I'm teaching you step by step, then interest, then GAV, then this. So I'm giving you step-by-step package that by the end of the class, any problem of house property, 7 minutes ke andar you will be able to solve it. Yeah, total income also a part of it is house property income. Puchte hain. How many kind of properties are there? Self-occupied. How many self-occupied property you are allowed to keep? Yes, of your choice. Any two of the property income you can treat as self-occupied. Then let out property. Then deemed let out. If you have 3 self-occupied properties, any 2 property of your choice you can treat as the self-occupied. Remaining 1 will be treated as deemed let out. And what is let out? Let out property is the property which is actually given on rent. Now, how to compute the income? The first step here is to derive the gross annual value or GAV. I want all of you to write. These are online classes, so I'll be asking you too much. Are you able to write what I have written on screen? लिखो आप लोग कभी आके मुझे कंप्लेन नहीं करोगे मैम मेरा कॉस्टिंग का पेपर टैक्स का पेपर आई न्यू इट but I could not attempt more than 85 marks paper because you are writing with me every day. However, beautiful booster notes I have given still. Yeah, gross annual value, GAV. Now this is where you start computing your income from house property. Now how to derive it? Okay, so for this we should know few things. Okay, so first let me talk about fair rent, FR. You know what is fair rent? Fair rent is, write down, arm's length rental value. Write down. Fair rent is nothing but arm's length rental value. Matlab nearby to me. Okay, my building is here and I am giving my second floor on rent. Same on the main road, next commercial property, second floor, same kind of square feet. How much rent is derived from properties around me? Why do we call it arm's length? Buyer and seller are not related. Unbiased value, market value mein in my area. See, I stay nearby to OU. Here the rentals are say 8,000 square feet. In Banjara Hills, it will be 18,000. In High Tech City, it will be 20,000. So the rentals differ area to area. So this is the fair rent. These values will be given to you in exam. Next is MB, municipal value. If you check on the municipal portal, or if you go to the municipal department and if you give your house map, they'll tell you that in this area, this is what is the rent according to the municipal values. SR is the standard rent. So much feedbacks I have got for this chapter, you will never be confused कि expected rent क्या है. आप सिर्फ trust करो, लिखते जाओ. Standard rent. Standard rent is, the minimum rent as per the Standard Rent Control Act. As per the Rent Control Act, minimum कम से कम कितना rent होना चाहिए. And actual rent. Actual rent is the rent what you derive. Actual rent is the rent received. Anyone in the class is stuck up at a term, please put me a message in the chat box. Even if you're watching as recording, you all have the number. Ma'am, at 13 minutes you have said this, I didn't understand, and surely clear your doubt. वो doubt final exam में नहीं जाएगा, but doubt clear करने से confidence increases step by step. Fair rent is the arm's length value, municipal value, standard rent, and actual rent. This will help you to derive GA. Ma'am, if any one of us is missing in the exam, okay, whatever is there, we can do. We are yet in the concept. 20 minutes हो गए. अभी तक हमने problem शुरू नहीं की. Now, I want all of you to write these steps to derive GA. Steps to derive GAV. How to derive gross annual value. Step number 1. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. They will give you the fair rent of the property and the municipal value, whichever is higher. Ma'am, when we have actual rent, why we are going in all this hodgepodge? Actual rent hai na? Take it as rental income. No. Many times the property rent is 75,000 per month. But I am asking my tenant, on paper you give me, saying check you give me 50,000 and 25,000 you might give me cash. So, government is saying we are not bothered how much rental income your tenant is paying. What is the best of the rent in the area? We want you to pay tax on that income. Are you all with me? Now, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Write and put an arrow mark. Step 2. Step 1 or standard rent. Whether it is regular class or a one-shot revision or fast track, I'll go very slow in the concept and then you will say, ma'am, we completed 8 problems in 30 minutes. Like that, it's going to be powerful. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. So it's like, look at the screen, look at me. This is like a high-low. Waves chalte hai na, ocean mein. Fair rent, say with me, say. I'm not able to listen, you aap log sab mute mein, koi baat nahi. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is. So whatever is your third step, that is the GAV, and that's what is your gross rental value. Shall we continue? Clear till now? I can see this, I can see this. Jo bhi hai. Yes. Next one. Let us write the format, how to compute the income. Sure. So whenever we say compute the income from house property, you will start with a format. Say one property is self-occupied, one property is let out or deemed let out. I want all of you to write this to, get a good speed. So start with GAV. GAV आपने ऊपर लिख दिया. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that of standard rent, whichever is lower, that of. You can write like this, you will get marks. Expected rent or नहीं, ऐसे किए तो भी मिलेंगे. GAV. Less municipal taxes. Now, what are municipal taxes? We know that when we are owner of the property, we have to pay the corporation tax or municipal tax. It's right now a March month, and I don't know if you listen to radio, ads are coming that pay your next year's municipal tax in advance and you're getting 25% off. ऐसे होता है, government भी offers करते हैं. So municipal tax, if it is paid by owner, you get a deduction from this. And now what you get, you call it as net annual value. From this net annual value, 30% standard deduction is allowed. 30% standard deduction, not on GAV, on NAV for all the expense. Listen, I'm the owner of the property. I'm getting the rental income. Yeah. But when I'm getting rental income, I'm incurring repairs, ground rent, watchman, liftman. बहुत सारे expenditures लगते हैं ना मुझे भी. I'm the owner of the property. So instead of taking actual expense, we will take notional expense. Government is saying, oh, you are earning 100 rupees as rent, 30%, 30 rupees is your expenditure allowed. Ma'am, but my expenditure is only 10%. Or my expenditure is 40%. I did a major repairs now. Forget it. The house property head is saying, we will give you standard 30% deduction of the NAV. Clear? Students usually do the mistake and they take a deduction beta of the इसका जो deduction ले लेते हैं, क्या कहते हैं? GAV का नहीं लेना. 30% deduction of standard deduction. And then if you have built the house property and if you have taken a loan, you will get a deduction and you get income from house. This I will teach in depth. So many students, the moment I write interest on loan, ma'am, I'm always confused in 2,30,000. I bang on and say you will be very clear. आप patiently पढ़ो जो पढ़ा रहे हैं. Format clear है. How to derive the GAV? High, low, high. Once you get that, deduct the municipal tax only if it is paid by owner. So many cases we say tenant, you will have to pay the municipal tax. Then I will not get a deduction from my rental income. NAV, 30% standard. Easy. Yeah? Now, let me tell you, self-occupied property where I'm staying, can I pay rent to myself? What will be the actual rent and all for self-occupied property? Nil. Municipal tax. Of course, I am paying municipal tax on my property which I am owning. But that's treated as drawings. It's not allowed. So obviously, NAV will be nil. NAV का 30% nil होगा. But for self-occupied property also, if I have taken loan, I will be allowed interest 30,000 and 2 lakh. Ma'am, where 30,000, where 2 lakh? I'll teach you. In short, house property income of self-occupied, I want always loss. Everyone in the class is digesting. Self-occupied property GAV is nil. खुद को खुद से rent थोड़ी pay करेंगे. Municipal tax is not allowed. NAV is nil. So NAV is 30%. Anything ka 30% is nil. Interest on loan is allowed. So always self-occupied property will show a loss. Let out and deemed let out, whatever may be the GAV, municipal tax, NAV, standard deduction, interest on loan, सब allowed हो. ठीक है ना? Clear to all of you? So this is all enough for the base building. Hope you all are writing the notes also. Super clear? Yeah. Only my video is pinned. So you can keep the video on because that response is different. Thank you so much for keeping the video on and trusting that you are going to get the best. चलो आ जाओ शुरू करते हैं. अभी तक कोई डाउट है? फॉर्मेट थोड़ा सा लर्न हुआ है या नहीं? So with this, let us apply this. I'm sharing the screen. अच्छा, those who have ordered the material, it might take time because of the 2 consecutive holidays, and again, Saturday was also half working day. Okay, but you will receive till then. Only house property, take a printout of 5-6 pages are there so that you can do the homeworks today. चलो साथ में करते हैं. Yeah, any doubts you have, you can ask me directly. I'm starting with income from house property. Chalo. Chargeability section is section 22. Mark it very important for MCQ. If you're not having this material now, in your notebook, write down in top somewhere, section 22 MCQ. Yeah, there should be property. Building includes not only residential, factory, building, offices, commercial, shops, godowns, all. And land appurtenant thereto. Next to my building is my parking lot, which I have given to a saloon on rent, taxable. To a boutique on rent, taxable. In my building parking, I am having 2-car parking. But I am using only 1-car parking. Another I have given on rent to my neighbor, taxable. Income from vacant land will be taxable, and income from other sources. इतना मेहनत करके मटेरियल बनाया, आप पढ़ो, मजा आ जाएगा. Few places purposely it's not printed because I want you to print. So do 3D, 5D makeup as I'm doing. Property should not necessarily have roof. Ma'am, you said property. Swimming pool is so open. Stadiums are open. But if private swimming pool of a hotel is given on rent for a swimming competition, will that rental income be taxable for hotel? Yes. Income from house property, there too, is taxable under head in hands of the legal owner. Yeah, this reminds me so many times, there are properties dispute between brothers. Yeah. So say Sujit and Ajit, they are fighting. Who is going to be the owner of this property? In the meanwhile, their father has already given this property on rent and they are deriving rental income. Now Sujit and Ajit are saying to government, Thero, please let us decide who will be the owner. Surely, we'll later on come and pay income tax. No. Government is saying Ajit or Sujit, who is right now getting rental income, say Sujit. Please pay the tax. You keep fighting for years in the court. Whenever it is decided, we will see how to settle. In short, even if the property is disputed, whoever is actually receiving the rent will be deemed owner and he'll have to pay the. Okay. So these are all some case laws punchline which are very, very important for you all. Okay. Now there are 3 kind of property as I discussed. Let out property, which is actually given on rent, self-occupied property, or unoccupied property. For such self-occupied property, the annual value will be nil. The benefit of nil is available only up to 2 self-occupied properties. This benefit is applicable for individuals and HFs. I'm repeating, individuals and HFs can have 2 properties as self-occupied. Ma'am, someone is having luxury 5 bungalow hai, ek Allahabad mein, idhar aur udhar. Any 2 they can treat as self-occupied. Whenever owner has only 1 residential house which cannot be occupied by him because of his employment, business, or any other reason, and he is not deriving any other income, such house is not let out. No other benefit is derived. Such house he can treat 2 of the properties as self-occupied and remaining will be treated as deemed let out property. So let out is clear, LOP, self-occupied and DLOP. Where assessee owns more than 2 property as self-occupied, it shall be taken as nil. All the other properties will be notionally taxed. Format. GAB less municipal taxes. I want all of you to write here. Paid by owner. Sometimes, municipal tax, okay, half I will pay, half tenant you have to pay. So only half will deduct. Yeah. NAV. 30% I want all of you to make an arrow mark here. 30% of NAV, not of GAV. Interest on loan is allowed. See here only 2 lakh. All notes are written so beautiful. Reconstruction interest क्या है वो कल देखेंगे. If the property is owned and used for business, do not make the column here. Related proportionate expenses will be deductible under business. Hai. Refer question. This point will be super clear when I take one kind of the problem and I'll come back. Abhi chhod do. Chalo. This I have told you what is fair rent and I've made you right. Okay. Municipal tax are only allowed if they are paid by owner. If municipal tax is paid on advance basis, it is deductible when due. If it is paid by tenant, no deduction will be allowed. Okay. Municipal taxes also include sewerage tax. So many times in the exam they gave municipal tax 12% plus sewerage tax 2%. So वो 2% भी include करेंगे. ठीक है? Irrespective of the GAV, if municipal tax are calculated as a percentage of municipal value, take accordingly. Yeah. So many times they'll give municipal taxes paid as a percentage. They will always be of municipal value. All this I'll apply and solve the questions, so it will be clear. Standard deduction is allowed and interest on loan is allowed. Right? Okay. I think we'll take a pause here and first we will make the GAV very clear. Let us take up some questions to make the GAV very clear. Okay. One more concept is there here. Fair rent, municipal value and all that is there. One more concept is that if the property is self-occupied till April, May and June and then let out. So, fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, you will take all for 12 months. I think there are some chotu concepts which will be very clear when you solve these questions with me. So, chalo, over to directly the questions. Aaja. Determine the GAV. I'm repeating, this is not a full-fledged question that I'll do next after interest concept. Abhi, I'm helping you to derive GAV properly. Please realize one thing. If the GAV is wrong, the whole question goes wrong. Okay? Right. Sanjay lets out the property on 12,000 per month. So 12 12s are 1,44,000. Municipal value is 1,80,000. And actual rent is given. These are small questions. I have already solved it here. But I want you all to check with me orally now. These are very simple. So without looking at the answer. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So fair rent to hai nahi Sanjay ke paas. So this one is correct, municipal value. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. So standard rent is not there. So same answer for step 2. That or actual rent, whichever is high. So here the GAV will be 1,80,000. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent. Standard rent tiny. And this or actual rent, whichever is higher. So GAV is 180. Yeah. And then municipal taxes, if they are there, you can deduct it. Is my speed fine? You're following? These are just practice questions. When I do the full-fledged questions, we will take up the question in notebook. Now, Ramana has a property whose valuation matlab municipal value 240. She let it out to bank 30,000, but from July में let out किया 3 महीने कुछ भी खाली पड़ा था. So 30,000 into 9. Are you getting? 30,000 per month into 9. 2,70,000. April, May and June, the property was vacant. I have put 2 let board, पर कोई आया ही नहीं. So I could let it out from July. Now, What is the municipal value of the property? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, 240. That or standard rent, 240. Now step 2, 240 or actual rent, 270, whichever is higher. So 270 is the GAV. Clear? So when we write and do, it will be more clear, but these are all practice questions. Naresh owns a flat which is assessed by local authority with a value of 90,000. So municipal value is 90,000. The property was let out 7,500 per month. Okay, 7,500 per month. However, the tenant vacated in September. So कब तक था 7,500? April, May, June, July, August, September. 7,500 into 6. 45,000. However, the tenant vacated the property in September. And from October to January, it was vacant, khali pada tha. Again, February and March, the new tenant paid 10,000 into 2, 20,000 rent. First you tell me, is the rent clear to you? 7,500. Are you comfortable this way? Please put me a message in writing, or you want to do only the GAV part also in the writing. And these are all handmade problems, I can say. बहुत मेहनत करके ये आंसर कहीं से कॉपी करके इधर नहीं रख दिया है, बहुत अच्छा है. Actual rent 65,000 is clear. First 7,500 into 9 and then 10,000 into 2. So it's 65,000. So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, 90,000. That or standard rent, 90. Now here there's a googly. Mark this problem very important. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, 90,000. That or standard rent, whichever is lower, 90,000. That or actual rent. Actual rent. 65,000. Man, then 90,000 should have been GAV, no? Now there is a funda. The funda says, आ जाओ, वापस आ जाओ, इसको यहाँ पढ़ते हैं. First page पे जहाँ notes है ना, ये देखो. If the property is self-occupied, take the GAV as nil. If it is self-occupied partly and debt let out, follow normal steps. If it is deemed let out, follow normal steps. ऊपर वाले. If it is vacant for some time and then let out. Now, if the actual rent is low only due to vacancy, then take actual rent as GAV irrespective of other values. थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा इसको समझो. See, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is high. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. So just now, man, step 2 answer is 90,000 and actual rent is just 67,500. So 90,000 should have been the GAV. But take a pause and analyze. In this problem, actual rent is low because of the vacancy. You are taking fair rent, municipal value, standard rent for 12 months. And actual rent only for the 6 months and then February and 2. Had it been let out for 12 months, obviously actual rent would have been high. I am repeating, where high, low, high. In the third step, step 2 or actual rent, whichever is high. Here the actual rent is low only due to vacancy. Then forget about the high, low. Take actual rent as GAV. फिर से एक बार in that same problem we will prove and see. Go to that problem number 1. Third bit I think it was. Yeah, Naresh wala. ये देखो. After September, October, November, December, January, 4 months the property was vacant. 7,500 into 9 and 10,000 into 2. But अगर these 4 months also if it was occupied, so 40,000 or add ho jata. So 27,000 this and 20,000 this. 7,500 into 9. One minute. Let us write it, analyze it here so that all the figures are clear. I am in the third bit and mark it very important. Check and come tomorrow if you have done. What is the municipal value? 90,000. Check here. The property was let out 7,500 till September. 7,500 into 6. 45. 7,500 into 6. 45. However, the tenant vacated the property in September. October to January, 4 months, it was vacant, khali pada tha. February and March, 10,000 into 2. I want all of you to write this. उधर ही scribble कर सकते, कोई बात. 65,000. Now look at this. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. Step 2 or 65,000, whichever is higher. So 90,000 is higher, no. But this is low only due to vacancy. That's what I have written here in working note 1. Actual rent is low only due to vacancy. Agar remaining 4 months also in between jo khali pada tha, if it was occupied at 40,000, oh, this would have become 1,05,000. Take your time and tell me, have you digested this? Actual rent is low only due to vacancy. Then irrespective of the high, low, high tide, which I taught you, take GAV as 65,000. Because 65,000 is only because it is vacant. Had it been occupied, it would have been the same. More problems will come like that. There are 20-25 problems in this chapter, so don't worry. Krishna owned a flat. Municipal value is 120, in which he was living with his family. By end of July, he completed construction of bungalow and he shifted. So he has let it out from August to the sister for 8,000. Yeah. Now, what is the municipal value? 120. Municipal value. What is the actual rent from August? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months. 8 into 8,000, 64,000. Fair rent and municipal value and standard rent and all 120 or 64,000, whichever is higher. So 120. Ma'am, but actual rent was low because of vacancy? No, it was not vacant. It was self-occupied from April to July. And August onwards, it was let out. Now, municipal value is 120. This is 120. And in the third, 120 or 64, whichever is higher. So 120. Take your time. If you can digest this, nothing will make your GAV wrong in exam. I'm here only, but I want to take a pause of 2 minutes taki you analyze the C and D equation on screen. Why in C I did like that? Why in D I did like that? If typing is difficult, you can unmute and speak up. In C bed, actual rent is low due to vacancy. So we have taken GAV as actual rent even though it is low. In D, actual rent is low. In D also it is 64,000. But it's not low due to vacancy. Vacancy nahi hai. It was self-occupied and then let out. This was vacant and let out. Very beautiful concept. The more you practice, 7 out of 7 marks are yours. Please wait 1 minute. So type करो message में all clear or you're confused or clear. You should have a printout, but बहुत बार मैंने बोला है पहले, नहीं है तो ठीक है, I'm helping you out with. If actual rent is low due to vacancy, take GAV as actual rent irrespective of high, low, high. If actual rent is low due to self-occupied and then vacant and all, go for routine. ये देख, property is self-occupied 4 months, then let out 8 months. So obviously actual rent is 80,000, municipal value is 110, fair rent is 90 and standard rent is 1 lakh. अब compare करते हैं. Fair rent or municipal value whichever is higher, so 110. That 110 or 1 lakh standard rent whichever is lower, so 1 lakh. That 1 lakh or actual rent 80,000 whichever is higher, so 1 lakh. And I have written here working note 3. Actual rent is low not due to vacancy but because 4 months it was self-occupied. And state these working notes are for your understanding. If actual rent was low due to vacancy, then take GAV as 80,000. समझ में आ रहा है? 4 months it was self-occupied. If it is vacant, then take GAV as your actual rent. Okay? Right? Homework, problem number 2 without any hint. Municipal tax you deduct, nothing given, just simple, very simple problem. Problem number 3 is also homework. What are these, 100% promise me that we will do it in writing. See, if the GAV goes wrong, everything will go wrong. So make sure you check this. अच्छे से करना है इसको, बिना देखे करो और यहाँ पे आपका आंसर लिखो नोटबुक में. I am telling you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits will not take more than 10 minutes. At the cost of 10 minutes, if you are gaining confidence, please after doing it, check up your final answer. टिक टिक करके मत करना, बिना देखे नोटबुक में करो and then check up your answer. So second and third is the homework. Now I'm going to combination problems, which are so much there in your notebook and they are asked also in your exam. 4th, 5th, exactly same question, but I'm doing the 6th one. Now what is this check? Ruhi is having 3 houses in Surat, all self-occupied. Ma'am, you said only 2 houses are allowed as self-occupied. Particulars of the house are given to you. Yeah, but before this, sorry, I missed out. Interest पे चलते हैं. The concept of interest. Whenever you get rental incomes, you might be paying interest on the loan which is taken on the property, right? You may take a house property loan, housing loan, and then you started giving out on rent. And whatever rental income is coming, you are paying the EMI. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? काफी लोग करते हैं. So interest on loan, if you have taken on house property, is allowed on due basis. I'm repeating, for financial year 24-25, interest 10,000 is due, but not paid. 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 10,000 is due, I want all of you to write the way I'm writing. Still deduction allowed. मिलेगा. कहाँ मिलेगा? NAV, less 30% standard deduction, less interest on loan. Interest on loan, if it is due in March but not paid actually, still allowed. Municipal taxes are allowed. If you want, you write down. ये dialogue अगर आप पढ़ोगे ना one day before exam, it'll be like super clear. But municipal tax allowed only on payment basis. Interest on loan is allowed on due basis, but municipal tax is allowed only on payment basis. आप पे करो municipal tax to your ma'am, 2 years it is due. Surely 10th of April I'll get my money and I'll pay. Okay, then take a deduction next year, not now. अब आ जाओ. Interest on loan in case of let out and deemed let out, full interest is allowed without any upper limit. 100% interest is allowed. 100% interest is allowed. Self-occupied property. If it is your self-occupied property, 1 or 2, and if you have taken the loan after 1,499 for purchase and construction, construction is completed in 5 years, then interest allowed is up to 2 lakh for 2 SOPs. मैम आप ये टाइप भी तो कर सकते थे ना, आपको लर्न कराना है, लिखो. For 2 SOPs, how much interest is allowed? 2 lakh. But if you have taken the loan prior to 1,499 or today also, if you have taken housing loan, not for purchase or construction of the property, but for repairs and renovation, then how much interest is allowed? 30,000. Please unmute and ask your doubts. इसी में students की गलती होती है. The moment they see interest on loan, they write in their answer sheet 30,000 and 2 lakh. Array, but check, it is a let out property. If it is a let out property, 4 lakh interest है तो भी allowed है. Let out, shall I repeat for all of you? 100% focus करो यहाँ बेटा. Let out property and deemed let out property. See, income tax is an application based subject. First 1 hour if you're sparing in gaining the concept, now apply it, analyze it, apply it, and you will get full marks. Interest is allowed. How much? In self-occupied, let out and deemed let out, 100%. In self-occupied, have you taken it for purchase and construction? 2 lakh. Have you taken it for repairs? 30,000. After 1,499, full. Before 1,499, this. Clear? Same thing of the flowchart I have written here 2-3 times so that it's all clear to all of you. Actual amount of interest due for the year is allowed in case of let out and deemed let out. Conditions for interest on loan, 2 lakh only in case of self-occupied. If the construction के लिए पैसे लिए after 1,499, construction is completed in 5 years. And the banks from there, housing bank and finance company from where you have taken, they'll give you certificate. Interest on housing loan is allowed 30,000 in case of self-occupied if any of the above condition is not satisfied, or if you have taken loan for repairs, renovation, वो सब के लिए. ठीक है? You are in a learning mode, so refer again and again. Once you will learn it, you will not have to refer it, but तब तक तो आप बार बार रेफर करते रहो बेटा नोट्स को. जब कंफ्यूजन हो, come back and check. This part I'll explain a bit later, and this is also awesome. थोड़ी देर रुक के करेंगे. यहाँ तक concept enough है. Ready to go for a full-fledged problem now? Yeah, right? Okay. What I'm teaching you now is study material question only. There are 3 self-occupied properties with me. 5. Can I treat any 2 of it as self-occupied and remaining as deemed let out and pay tax on notional income? Yes. But how to go? Combos ka zamana, you know. You can have burger and coke and you want vada pav and lassi. These are combos, no? Like that, we will make best of the combination, and wherever tax is less, you go for that. That's what they are asking for a 7 marks question. Let us solve it. Format is same. GAV less municipal taxes, NAV less standard deduction, less interest on loan. इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन में कोई भी डाउट है तो अभी पूछो, पहले ही पूछो, ठीक है? So, there are some more concepts of unrealized rent and all. Don't worry, वो अभी नहीं करना. Second and third question I have given as homework. Fourth and fifth are exactly same. बिल्कुल same है. Practice batch 1% also I will not leave the concept or go fast in the learning. But I need cooperation from all of you for homework. ठीक है? आ जाओ. Ruhi has 3 self-occupied properties. So any 2 can be taken as self-occupied. Municipal value, fair rent, standard rent is given. Construction is completed in March 99. If construction is completed before 1st April 1999, then how much interest on loan is allowed? Only 30,000. After that, full. Municipal taxes are given as a percentage of municipal value. Ma'am, GAV, if it is not a municipal value, no problem. Percentage आप उसी पे ले लो. Interest on loan repairs दिया हुआ है. Interest on money borrowed in 2000. Okay. This interest on money borrowed for repairs. Oh. This interest on loan taken for repairs. So for repairs, how much interest is allowed? Can anyone put it in the chat box? How much interest is allowed? After this problem, I'll give a break. 1 minute. आप लिखो. Were you able to answer my question? If house 2 is self-occupied, how much interest will be allowed? Because it's taken for repairs, only 30,000. And if it is let out or deemed let out, full interest. आपको flowchart दिमाग में रखो. Interest on money borrowed. You want to draw the flowchart in notebook, or you will refer from the material. And this is taken from 70. Okay. So now any 2 of the combination of the properties, we have to take it as self-occupied. Yeah. So problem number 6 we are doing in notebook. Clear? Having calculator. कभी-कभी दीप्ति मैम भी गलती करते हैं calculation में, तो आप करो. Let us solve this question in the notebook with a different pen. Until now we have written the booster notes. You tell me, dear students, honestly, you want me to draw a flowchart in notebook also for interest on loan, or clear to all of you? Please say. If you
Ma'am,
want to,
can we draw the flow chart, please?
yeah, chalo, we will draw. We will draw and then we will start with this combination. तो वो draw करने से और अच्छे से learn हो जाएगा. Sure. And then we will do Ruhi's problem. Chalo, let us draw the flowchart with the same red ink pen. Interest on loan. Understand and do. Forget about what flowchart I have given you. You do it with understanding. Interest on loan. First only I want all of you to write here, allowed on due basis. It's due and not paid till interest on loan is allowed. On due basis, it is allowed. Okay. Now, let us take case of the let out property and self-occupied property. Write down. Actual interest allowed. 100%. ऐसे ही लिखो. No upper limit. See, if the property is let out, given on rent, or it is deemed let out, 100% it is allowed. No upper limit. पहले इतना लिख के डाउट है तो पूछो. Next. Being let out and let out, sorry, DLOP, SOP नहीं. Let out property and deemed let out property, actual interest is allowed 100%, no upper limit. Self-occupied property. Self-occupied property. How much interest will be allowed? Loan taken for construction or purchase. You have taken housing loan to purchase the property or to construct. Next, loan taken after 1499. लोन रीपे का कोई नहीं है. कंस्ट्रक्शन completed in 5 years. Interest allowed up to 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs for 2 self-occupied property. You can't say, ma'am, 2 self-occupied property allowed है ना, एक के लिए 2 लाख नहीं, मिला के. It's very interesting problem. I might take coming 15 minutes to solve only one question, but it's going to be very helpful. देखो. Self-occupied property. Loan taken for construction purchase. Loan taken after 1499. Construction completed in 5 years. Anything. Interest is allowed up to 2 lakhs. Now, come on right side. Loan taken for repairs. Construction और purchase के लिए नहीं, repairs के लिए. Loan taken before 1499. I'm saying construction not completed. कुछ भी, any one of not completed in 5 years. Anything. How much interest is allowed? 30,000. You have taken the loan for construction and purchase of self-occupied property, 2 lakhs. You have taken loan for repairs, 30,000. You have taken loan after 1499, 2 lakhs. Before koi bhi condition, it's not and, it's all or. Construction not completed in 5 years, 30,000. Completed in 5 years. Clear to all of you? Still anyone is having any doubt, ask me, or you want time to write, or anywhere my writing is not clear, because I put lot of energy in explanation. The writing may not come good, so you can listen and write. Finish writing? Let out and deemed let out, no upper limit. Self-occupied, interest is allowed up to 2 lakhs. If you have taken for construction and purchase. For repairs, 30,000. Chalo. Let us do that Ruhi's question and other two. If you are getting any doubt in homework, don't wait for the class tomorrow. You can clear your doubts in the WhatsApp group also. Put all your doubts in the group only. Ruhi ka question. Write on the heading, computation of income of Ruhi for the financial year 24-25. If you want, just for your understanding, not in final exam, but now, combination questions of more than two SOPs. The very nice combination question of more than two SOPs. Start with working note. Start with working note 1 or option 1. If all are treated as deemed letter. See, there are 3 self-occupied properties. Any 2 you can treat as self-occupied when one as deemed let out. पर अगर तीनों भी deemed let out है तो क्या what will be the income? Can we calculate very quickly? If all the 3 are deemed let out, this is a working. Quickly write down H1, H2, H3, and we will do it vertically. I want all of you to write the coming steps 5 minutes as fast as you can. मैम ऐसे क्यों आप तो कॉन्सेप्ट में बहुत हो गया कॉन्सेप्ट नाउ यू हैव टू स्पीड अप फॉर द फाइनल एग्जाम सो राइट डाउन विथ मी you can write FR allowed fair rent or municipal value whichever is higher or you can put an arrow. Step 1 or standard rent whichever is lower. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is high. ये देख. Don't write figures and all. पहले format लिख लो. You will get 2 marks for sure. Sometimes, worst case, you are not able to complete the problem. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent, whichever is lower, that or actual rent, whichever is higher. This will give you your GAV, gross annual value. Municipal tax, if paid by owner. Don't write this in exam. This is for you to remember. Then municipal tax has to be deducted only if it is paid by owner. NAV. Nothing said in exam. 30% standard deduction you have to give off NAV. And then we have interest on loan. And then what we get, we call it as income from. Anyone in the class is having doubt in writing the format? Exactly 1 hour, 15 minutes over. I think now we are confident on writing the format. Now left hand on your question paper, house 1 se related, all the figures are given to you. Excuse me. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. 3 lakh or 375. No one should sit idle in the class and you have to click the picture of your notebook and send in the group. Don't worry कि कोई मेरी handwriting judge कर रहा है. जिस दिन ये judgment निकल जाएगा ना, that FOMO, SOBO, nothing you will have. So write down, when as a teacher I am writing it 100 times, आप भी लिखो. 3 lakh or 375, whichever is higher. 375 or standard rank, 350, whichever is lower. So
I
3.
want to see the question, ma'am. I cannot see it.
What?
I want to see the question. I don't have the PDF.
I asked you at least 10 times last week in the groups also. I have sent the printout beta. इसका screenshot लेना है. If you're doing from laptop, you can take a screenshot. Like fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. This and actual rent is so not there. Why actual rent is not there, beta? Actual rent is not there because all the 3 properties are self-occupied.
Self-occupied.
Take some from your study material. Okay? You listen and do it, I think. So obviously the step 2, actual rent is not there because Ruhi is having all the 3 houses are self-occupied. So what will be the GAV? 350. Now, municipal taxes are 12% of the municipal value. So 3 lakh ka 12%, 36,000. Are you clear? 3 lakh is the municipal value. So uska 12%. So 350 minus 36,000, 3,14,000. Take a printout of the material I have been sharing fourth time today morning in the last week. So please take your own responsibility to take a printout from the Telegram or WhatsApp so that you have the question in front of you. Beta. 314 ka 30% is the standard deduction. And interest on loan is not there. So for house 1, if you treat as deemed let out or assumed to be let out, 2,19,800. Is it clear? Vertical karna hai, don't do left to right. Now we go to house 2. I am sharing the values for all of you. Municipal value is 360, fair rent is 275, whichever is higher. So 360. Now this 360 or standard rent 370, whichever is lower. So 360. Now that or actual rent. So actual rent to hai nahi. So 360 is the GA. In the second house, municipal value 3,60,000 ka 8% is the municipal tax. 360 ka 8%. 28,800. 28,800 minus 360, 331,200 into 30%. 99,360. 331,200 into 30%. 99,360. Okay, please listen carefully. House 2, interest paid for repairs is 55,000. Still you will deduct 55,000 full. Ma'am, just now you said for repairs it is 30,000. बच्चे यही गलती करते हैं. As a teacher, I am not criticizing. Please don't take it negatively. I am making you aware. When you do everything correct in exam, what's going wrong, you know? This point. House 2, this loan is taken for repairs, but it will be allowed 30,000 if it is self-occupied. Right now it is what beta? Deemed let out है ना अभी तो DLOP है तो पूरा interest allowed है. Let out property, deemed let out property, full interest is allowed. Now tell me the answer. Faster than me, I am waiting for you to put the answer in chat box. Don't tell me, ma'am, I forgot the calculator at home. Correct? Is my speed fine? You all got the answer? Let's go to the house 3. House 3. Fair rent 330. Municipal value 330. Sorry, fair rent 380. Whichever is higher. So 380. Step 380 or standard rent 375. Whichever is lower. So 370. That or actual rent 375. So GAV is 375. Municipal taxes are दिया है आपको 330 म्यूनिसिपल वैल्यू है और उसका 6%. 330 into 6%. 19,800. 19,800. So 355 200 into 30% standard deduction. 30% to standard deduction है. Now, interest on loan which is taken for purchase 175. Fully utilized. 3,55,200 minus 106560 minus 175. How much you are getting? The final answer. Sorry. This is a combination, dear students, if it is dean letter. Now working on 1, 2. We'll take a break. I also need to drink hot water. We'll continue. So, hope you all have also taken a break. 5 minutes break we take. Chalo. So now what we are doing, once again, we will recollect because there was a break, that we are dealing with the deemed let out property. Okay? Deemed let out property is assuming that all the three properties are deemed let out. This is not the actual answer. Answer is any one of the property you have to take as DLOP, deemed let out, and other two are self-occupied. For combination, we are collecting the data. That if all the three are deemed let out, what will be the income? Now let us take up that if all the three are self-occupied. For self-occupied properties, all three. All three are not, but I hope it is clear what I'm saying. Huh? So if all the three are self-occupied, that's your option 2. Then house 1, house 2, house 3, GAB and your municipal tax are not allowed. So NAV will be nil in all the three cases. Are you all with me? Yeah? NAV will be nil in all the three cases. Yeah. And now interest on loan, even if it is self-occupied, interest on loan is allowed. So in the question, if you read house 1, there is no interest. House 2, interest is 55,000. Ma'am, here you have allowed 55,000 because it is let out or deemed let out. In case of self-occupied property, only 30,000 is allowed because this loan is taken for repairs. And house 3, how much is the interest? 175. 175. So this is allowed. So if you take all the three properties as self-occupied property, what is the income here? Nil. What is the income? Did you digest one thing, that self-occupied property, always the income will be nil. And house 3, it will be 1,75,000. Done? Chalo. Now we will do the combinations. Combinations we will work out. Best combination work in options below. Exactly same you have to write in final exam. It's a 7 marks question from the study material, can be asked as it is. Now my first combination will be, chalo, house 1, I'll treat as self-occupied. So income kitna hai? Nil. House 2, I'll treat as self-occupied. How much is the income? If it is self-occupied, only 30,000. House 3 is let out. Agar house 3 is let out, if it is treated as let out, what's the income? 73,640. Finally, combination of all the three, one house property, if there is a loss, another there's a profit, you can set off. So it is 43,640. Oh, sorry, I missed down the title. Write down over here. This is your option 1. Now I'm working out option 2. House property 1 as self-occupied. Same, nil income. House property 2 as let out. अगर हाउस प्रॉपर्टी 2 लेट आउट है, ये रहा हियर, व्हाट इज द इनकम? 176,840. 176. You have the data ready in your notebook also. And now house property 3 is also self-occupied. So house property 3, if it is self-occupied, all interest is allowed. There's a loss. Can we set off this loss and this profit? Yes. What will be the income from house property? 1840. 1840. Second combination. Income. Leave a line and option 3. Chalo. Here I took house 3 as let out. I'm repeating why I'm working out combination, because all the 3 are self-occupied and I cannot take more than 2 as self-occupied. So third I took as let out. Then I took second as let out. Now I'm taking first as let out. Okay? So house property 1 as let out. If you take house property 1 as let out, your income is high. 219,800. House 2 as self-occupied. 30,000. House 3 be self-occupied. If house 3 is self-occupied, 175. Now here there's a googly. If you go for option 3, very beautiful twist in the question, but patiently karo and do the sums which are said as homework and tell me, ma'am, until now completed, then I will teach you pre-construction interest tomorrow. Ye dekho. If 2 of the houses are taken as self-occupied, iska 30,000 interest is allowed. Here 175. But I told you there's an upper limit. This is 2,05,000. You can't allow more than 2 lakh interest. 2 lakh. 2 lakh limit for self-occupied. Ma'am, but there are 2 self-occupied property. Yeah, put together, you cannot allow 2,05,000. 2 lakh he allowed hai. So what will be the income from house property? 19,800. 19,800. Now, in the first combination, what is the income? 43,640. In the second combination, what is the income? 1840. In the third combination, what is the income? 19,800. So which income is beneficial? Can you type or unmute and say? Ruhi wants your expert suggestion. Compute the income from house property. Give her your expert suggestion. Yeah. First combination, what is the income? Option 1, 43. Second, 1840. Third, 19. Obviously, option 2, conclusion. Ruhi should go for option 2, 1840. Income from house property. As it is lowest. Okay, Ruhi will say, I'll treat first as self-occupied, second as deemed let out, third as self-occupied, and my income is 1840 lower. Lower the income, lower the tax. How is the combination problem? So many MCQs and case scenarios are covered in this, especially this was like an alert sign. Even though 2 self-occupied property, you cannot claim more than 2 lakh interest. Okay? First, what did I do? I assumed all the 3 are deemed let out. Then I assumed all the 3 are self-occupied. And then I have worked out these combinations. So which combination is showing lower income? 1840. You want me to solve one more, or you will do as homework? Check and ask your doubts. Finish writing also? Yeah, I'll take the one prior to that. See, Mahesh has 3 flats in Chennai. One occupied by him, another by parents and children. Jo bhi hai, but all the 3 are self-occupied. Yeah, and they are all in the name of Mahesh. So municipal value, fair rent, all is given to you. And he has taken the interest on loan. Okay. See this googly they will give. Here loan is availed on 1498. So if this property is the self-occupied, then even though interest is 60,000, how much will be allowed? Only 30,000. Why? If loan is taken before 1499, 30,000 interest. After 1499, 2 lakh interest. है ना? समझ में आ रहा है आप सबको? I will show you tomorrow the study material exactly questions more for practice. But these are base level. अच्छे questions हैं ये देखो. Now, let us first treat all the 3 houses as deemed let out. Now, question and answer is there in front of you. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 34. 34 or 30 standard rent, whichever is lower, 30. That or actual rent because it's self-occupied. So what's the GAV? 30,000. Municipal tax 6,000, 24. 30% of this deduction and interest is 12,000. Now come here. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 42. 42 or standard rent 45, whichever is lower. So 42. 42 or actual rent. So hey, so GAV is this. Clear to all of you? Mahesh का problem समझ में आ रहा है आपको? Do the third one on your own. Question and answer both are there. खुद से करो बेटा third वाला. It's all there in front of you. Just practice and check from the screen you are able to do or not. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 80. 80 or standard rent, whichever is lower. So 72. And 72, that's the GAV. Municipal taxes are allowed and interest on loan is on. So if they are let out, then what's the income if they are let out? For 4,800 and this. Now, if all the 3 are self-occupied hai, so GAV, NAV will be nil. If the first property is self-occupied, how much interest is allowed? 12,000. If the second property is self-occupied, 60,000 ki jagah, how much interest will be allowed? 30,000 because the loan is taken before 1499. Okay. And third house, so there is no interest. So if it is a self-occupied property and there is no interest and loan, so if it is self-occupied, what's the income? Nil. Now, combinations. 12,000, first one you take as self-occupied, second self-occupied, and third this one. So like this, if you work out the options, where the income is low, here there is income, here there is loss. Again, we'll go for option 2. It's not the case of lower income, it's the loss. This loss can be set off with other heads. So the more loss you can set off with other heads, it's good for you. Anyone in the class is having any doubt, please ask. Will you be able to work out the combination problems? Then I will go for little different question. Yes, sure. Now, one small concept is there that listen all of you. Interest on loan in case of self-occupied property and the is allowed up to a limit 30,000 and 2 lakh. And in case of deemed let out and let out actually is allowed. Interest on loan taken on house property is allowed. Interest on interest is not allowed. I have taken housing loan. I have to pay 1 lakh interest. Now to pay 1 lakh interest, I have taken loan from my friend Darshan. उसको मैं interest pay कर रही हूँ. I hope you are getting. Interest on loan is allowed. Interest on loan taken to pay the interest is not allowed. Simple logic. Clear or not? Second thing, I took loan from SBI, housing loan, at 8%. Now, I was getting 6% housing loan from Bank of India. So I took loan, 6% matlab my EMI will come down, my interest will come down. So I shifted my housing loan from SBI to Bank of India. This was 8%, this was 6%. I took second loan from Bank of India. I repaid my first loan. मैंने अपना first loan वापस दे दिया. ठीक है? Now, second loan, I'll show you in the notebook because this is asked in exam in a very simpler way, but it should be clear. See, I have taken loan from SBI at the rate of 10%. Now, Bank of India is giving me a loan at 7%. So I'll take 7% loan and I'll repay SBI. So now my interest on loan, which I have to pay Bank of India, will this be allowed? Answer is yes. Are you getting? My first housing loan was from SBI, but that was at 10%. I'm getting an interest on loan at a cheaper interest rate. Bank of India is giving me at 7%. Wow. I'll take that. It's allowed. And Bank of India say loan leke, I'll repay SBI. Now I will keep paying interest to Bank of India. So this Bank of India interest will also be allowed? Yes. These are very small pointers. Now very clearly they say suppose interest on housing loan is 10,000. If I pay outside India to someone, this will again come in business head also, and I forgot to deduct TDS. Whenever I have taken housing loan from David, who is from USA, and I'm paying him interest, David has earned this income in India, no. I should have deducted TDS on interest. I forgot. So this interest is not allowed any. I'm repeating, interest on loan is not allowed if it is paid outside India without TDS. These are the small points asked in exam. And for that, 2-3 very small questions I have given.
Ma'am, can you please explain the first point again, SBI example?
I'll repeat this point. See. Okay, ye dekho. Interest on loan, if it is payable outside India, is allowed only if TDS is deducted. I am paying interest 10,000 to David. I should have deducted 1,000 DDS, no? And paid 9,000. Yeah, if I miss deducting TDS, the whole of the interest is not allowed. And I'm going to work out the problems on all this. Now see, interest on second loan taken to repay the first loan is allowed. My first loan is from SBI. Now I took second loan to repay SBI. SBI bye-bye. Why should I pay you 10% interest? Now second loan becomes the housing loan. So interest on second loan, is it allowed? Yes. Interest paid on money which is borrowed to repay the loan is not allowed. In short, interest on interest. I have to pay you interest 1 lakh on housing loan. For me, 1 lakh interest on loan allowed as expense. But to pay you interest 1 lakh, I have taken one more loan of 1 lakh and I'm paying 10,000 interest on interest. You're getting? That's not allowed. Acha, while you process housing loan, you are paying brokerage, processing fees, and all that is not allowed. 2,30,000 is the maximum interest on loan limit. Yeah, for the current year, pre-construction interest for 2 self-occupied properties. Pre-construction interest and this part will be very clear tomorrow. Just do with me the next 2 sums. नोटबुक्स आज काफी लोगों के पास नहीं है, तो हम इसको ओरली करेंगे. आप चेक करना घर में कुछ भी डाउट है. 6th one I did, 4th and 5th I gave as homework, 7th problem. Raja completed the construction of house on May 2024 on a leasehold land. The house was self-occupied in June and July and let out thereafter for a rent of 10,000 per month. Okay, it was self-occupied and then let out. But till May, the property construction was only not ready. Yeah, the property's construction was only completed in 31st May. So then if they give you municipal value 72,000, take it 10 by 12. I hope you are getting why 10 by 12. Because the municipal value is 72,000 for 12 months. Property was not ready only till May. So you have to take it for 10 months. This is the concept. Now, standard rent. Have they given you the standard rent? No. Actual rent. Actual rent they gave 10,000 per month. And it was 31st May, the property was ready. July tak it was vacant. August to March. Look at the screen. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months it was let out. So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is lower, that or standard rent same, that or actual rent. So actual rent is high. So GAV is 80,000. Now municipal taxes paid. Nothing given means municipal taxes paid by the owner. 74,000. 30% standard deduction. Now, along with this, they said repairs is 12,000, ground rent is 24,000, insurance is 4,000. Shall we deduct all this? Answer is no. Against repairs, ground rent, insurance, we have already taken the standard deduction 30%. So your actual expenditure for repairs, ground rent and all is not deductible. It's just the standard deduction. Clear? And now what you get is income from household. What new you have learned in this problem? If the property is completed only in May 24, property nahi tha uske pehle, so I should take the fair rent, the municipal value, the standard rent, all for 10 months. Tell me. Any doubt here or all clear? Put me a message, all clear. And if you have doubt anywhere else, unmute and say clearly, but I am not able to hear you that clearly. Bolo. That interest on interest I am taking in the next one. Ye dekho. Ram owned a house property in Chennai, which was occupied by him. He was transferred to Mumbai and thereafter he let out the property. So 3 months property was self-occupied. 9 months it was let out. 3,000 into 9. And they didn't give the fair rent, municipal value, nothing given. So obviously whatever is the actual rent you should take as GAV. 3,000 into 9 months. Corporation tax is 6,000. 50% is paid. I am repeating. Municipal taxes are allowed only on payment basis. Municipal taxes will be allowed only if you pay. Even though 6,000 was due, how much you have paid? 50% deduct. 30% standard deduction of 24,000. Interest on money borrowed for construction is 20,000. Oh yeah, there's a loss. Are the sums pretty easy? Next is the concept of co-ownership, which I want all of you to do it on your own now. Now, how to do the examine problems of co-ownership? See, if there are two owners of the property, they are having common property. So compute the common rental income, GAV, municipal taxes, NAV, stand, sub karke, final house property income is 80,000. I am the 60% owner, 80,000 ka 60%. I will tax in my income, 40% you tax. That's all. So I want you all to attempt one co-ownership problem from the screen, whether you are having this compiler or not, now in the class, so that you get confidence. मैं यहीं पे हूँ, आप करो खुद से. You do it on your own. I'm your own. Ramana is the co-owner of the property. Fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, rent received. The loan for construction of the property is jointly taken and interest charged by the bank is 25,000, out of which 21,000 is paid. 25,000 is due and not paid. Still 25,000 allowed. I'm repeating, if you want highlight करके header footer में लिख दो, municipal tax is allowed on payment basis. Interest is allowed on due date. So even though due is 25 and paid is 21, 25 is allowed. Interest on unpaid interest. You paid late interest, so bank charged you some penalty and interest. Not allowed. To repay this loan, Ramana and his brother have taken fresh loan of and interest charged is 5,000. Second loan, one more loan they have taken. Uska interest भी allowed है. See, this may look confusing to you because students are very intelligent, hardworking. Only problem I see is not reading the question paper with 100% focus. Reading the question paper is an art, and these are quality good questions. Quality good, I'm saying. So you have taken one loan. You took another housing loan only. ठीक है? Uska interest is 5,000. Is it allowed? Yes. Municipal tax is paid by tenant. Not allowed. Municipal tax is allowed on payment basis if paid by owner. Compute the income. I want you all to without fail. अगर आपके पास compiler है, वहां पे आप book, notebook कुछ भी रख दो and solve it on your own now. Please do it without fail. I'm here on. I'm waiting. अब खुद से करो. Single column you have to make. You should not take more than 5 minutes and then show me your answer. Even if it is wrong, put it in chat box. Even if it is right, that I will decide. You put the final house property income. करो. अभी करो. enjoy doing it. कैसा भी आया, fair rent, municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent, whichever is lower, that or actual rent. Any confusion in your mind for 450 and 5,000 and all? Ask. अरे, why I'm sharing now? करो, खुद से करो. What is your income from house property? Do a partition. Please write the heading. Finish. Then share your answer. It's okay if it is wrong or right. What's your answer for the first? You just compute the income. Forget that there are two owners. Ramna is one of the co-owner with his brother, but this is the property income. पहले आप property income compute कर लो. Everyone should put the answer in the chat box. हो गया? Done. Okay. Municipal value or fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 160. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. So again 160. I hope you are getting. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. This or standard rent, whichever is lower. And 15,000 into 12. So step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. So actual rent is the GAV. Municipal tax is not allowed because it is paid by tenant. So not allowed. See, this is exactly solved in the way in which you should write notes in final exam. Ma'am, in study material, half page, full page notes are there for you to understand. They are explanatory notes. Itne notes exam mein nahi likhna hai. These are to the point notes. So you got NAV. NAV ka 30% standard deduction. Now, interest on loan you have taken for construction 25,000. Even though 21 paid on due basis allowed. Interest on interest is not allowed. And another loan taken 5,000 also allowed. So total income from house property is for Ramana and his brother is 96,000. Now no ratio is given, so 50% will be taxed in the hands of Ramana, 50% in the hands of brother. Is this clear to all of you? Then I'll go to the last concept for today. अभी तक सब clear है आपको? Unmute and say all clear, not clear, or you can put it in the chat box. Thank you. Clear? Practice and where it is not clear. See, this is a practice batch, so I'm not rushing anywhere in the concept. But with me, you have to practice the sums in between which I have left. है ना? Homework तो रोज करना पड़ेगा 1 घंटा and 2.5 hours of class. And just in 1 month, we'll complete the whole DT. Next month, ID. Chalo. Repetition is required. That's why so many sums. Otherwise, crash course, we can select top 7 questions. बस ये कर लो, house property खत्म. ऐसे नहीं होता बेटा. ठीक है? चलो. Next, now I'm going for the partition questions. You know what are the partitions? I am the owner of this property. Ground floor, 50% I have given out on rent to a showroom. Honda Activa के showroom को rent पे देते. First floor, First floor, 50% is self-occupied. So can I say this is 25%? पूरे घर का 50% is let out to a showroom. The whole house, 25% is self-occupied. I am staying in the back side. And first floor, 25%, I am using for my own office. Now, if they ask you compute rental income, then let out and self-occupied, you will make the column. The 25% which is used for your own business, काम से dear students, कितने बार यही problem एग्जाम में आता है 7 marks के लिए. So the 25% which is used for own business, there must be sale, purchase and all. So 25% actual expense will be allowed there. So in exam, if this is the case, how many columns you should make? Let out 50%, self-occupied 25%, over and out. Over and out. Don't make the column की मैम 25% खुद को भी तो use कर रहे हैं ना. So the one which is using for your business, 25% expenditure will be deductible on actual basis. अच्छा, ma'am, for the whole house we have paid 5,000 municipal tax. Here 50% allowed. Self-occupied तो anyhow not allowed. Say interest is 25,000. 25,000, 50% interest allowed here. 25% allowed here, 25% allowed in this. Are you clear with the concept of the partition? Income of each portion shall be computed separately. There is no need to treat property as single unit. Fair and municipal value and all, you have to apportion based on the plinth area or percentage as they will give. If construction is over during the year, then GAV, fair and municipal value actuarial should be considered only for the remaining period only. Right? Now, for example, if the construction is completed on 30 May 23 या 24, जो आप चाहें लिख लो, ठीक है? Then the fair and municipal value and all should be taken for 10 months. Just now we have taken. If part of the property is used for own business, do not make a separate column. Make only 2 columns, let out and self-occupied. So instead deduct the proportionate expenses from business head. Yeah, I'm doing one sum which is asked 2 times. Same question is asked in the recent exam. You can check. This is the last sum for today, but पूरे focus के साथ 100% लगा के solve करो. And revise these concepts with me. Come before the class. Do the breathing, pranayam or whatever I'm doing mandatory if you want to have a solid, strong mindset for the exam. And then we will do tomorrow pre-construction interest. After, पहले इसी को करेंगे, partition वाले सम और करेंगे. ये अभी करो मेरे साथ, last one. Ria owns a big house and the house has 3 independent units. 50% is let out. Unit 1 remains vacant for 1 month and a sum of 700 could not be collected from tenant. Okay, this is a question of unrealized rent. वो भी हम कल करेंगे. चलो ठीक है, तो we'll do a simple partition वाला 10th one because I have yet not done the unrealized rent also, है ना? तो वो कल करेंगे. X owns a residential house. It has 2 equal residential units. Unit 1 is self-occupied and unit 2 is let out 6,000 per month. Rent of 2 months could not be recovered. The person did not pay the rent of 2 months. So 1 unit is self-occupied, 1 unit is let out for 6,000 per month. Only 10 months rent came. Now, municipal value, standard rent, fair rent. Other expenses for the year are given to you, repairs, insurance. Interest on loan is taken in 1998. See, so if the loan is taken before 1/4/1999, then interest on loan, yeah, it will be allowed only 30,000. But 30,000 किसके केस में? Self-occupied. Let out property, full interest is there. Find out the income of X and other source income is also given. Are you all with me? It's a simple partition problem. One part is self-occupied, another is later. There's a concept of arrears of rent and unrealized rent. That's what the class will start tomorrow. Right now, 10th problem in your note. Are the values clear to you? And I'll read out. कल तक पक्का ले लेना बेटा print. Problem number 10. Self-occupied, let out, partition problem. ठीक है, साथ में करें. Problem number 10. Computation of income of Mr. X from house property for the previous year 24-20. X owns the house property. 50% is self-occupied. Ratio might differ. This time it's clear. And 50% is let out. Immediately, how will you start with the step? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Step 2 or standard rent, whichever is lower. Faster than me. Step 1 or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. And this is what is the GAB. Less municipal taxes are deductible only if they are paid by the owner. And what you get, you call it as NAV minus 30% standard deduction, interest on loan, and this is your income from. Please tell me you're actually feeling. I always say setting the goals, vision board and all the classes I say. Goals so should be clearer, but you should feel that once you have got the result, what is going to be the feeling? That will never let your enthusiasm to go down. So can you feel that, yes, ma'am, with your speed, we are able to make these boxes, I call it, boxes, hair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Step 1 of standard and simple partition question. एकदम simple partition question. चलो आ जाओ. X owns a house. Now, let us take first the self-occupied property. ये तो सब nil होगा. Are you clear? Self-occupied property, everything is nil. And interest is 63,000. So in case of self-occupied property, we will deduct 63,000 ka 50%. Ma'am, that comes to 31,500. Then why 30,000? Because here loan taken on 1498. Are you all with me? Loan is taken on 1498 before 1499. So even though 50% interest is 31,500, allowed is 30,000. Now, let out part. I'm telling you all the values, you please write with me. Fair rent is 140 and municipal value is 130. So 130 ka 50%. 130 ka 50%. Fair rent is 140. Municipal value is 130, whichever is higher. So 140 ka 50%. Ma'am, why you are doing 50%? If you want, I can make the working. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Fair rent is 120. Municipal value is 130. So whichever is higher. And why I'm taking 50%? Because this is the fair rent and municipal value of whole property. Only 50% is let out. So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, and of that 50%. 70,000. That or standard rent. Standard rent is 125. So 140 fair rent. You can write the way I'm writing. Or standard rent. Standard rent कितना है? 125, whichever is lower. So 120. But 125 का आधा. Pick up your calculator. 125 divided by half. 62,500. Anyone is having any doubt? Pause me. Other classes, I don't know, you have a permission. Here you have. Irrespective कि आप दूसरों को डिस्टर्ब तो नहीं कर रहे, कोई बात नहीं, आपको डाउट है पूछो. That or actual rent. Actual rent they have clearly given, na? 2 months so it could not be occupied. 10 months. Actual rent is 10,000 into 10. I want all of you to write down working note. It's a part of your answer. 60,000. Actual rent is low due to 2 months vacancy. Otherwise, if you tell me what is the actual rent receivable, so 10,000. Sorry, I'm doing some mistake. How much is the rent? Sorry, actual rent is 6,000 per month. Why did I take 10 months? Because clearly they have said that first 2 months it was vacant. Two months rent could not be recovered. Acha, it could not be recovered. It was not vacant. It could not be recovered. It was unrealized. It was unrealized. Huh? Read the question below. Rent could not be recovered. Okay. Now see. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent. Hmm. 62,500 or 60,000, whichever is higher. This will not come, sorry. Actual rent is not low due to vacancy. Actual rent is of 10 months because you could not recover the 2 months rent. See, you could not recover and it was vacant is different. I'll make it more clear tomorrow when I teach you unrealized rent. Abhi, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. So what should be our third step? 62,500. Now, what is the municipal tax given to you? Municipal tax is 12%. Working note 2. Municipal taxes, municipal value का 12%. What is the municipal value? 130 का 12%. And of that also 50%. Why? Because only 50% is let out. So let out people will bear only 50%. 130 into 12% divided by 2. 7,800. Everyone in the class is clear. 130 is the municipal value, 12% and uska 50%. 7,800 minus 62,500. 54,700 into 30%. 30% standard deduction. Now, interest on loan 63,000. In let out, can we deduct whole 31,500? Yes. 54,700 minus 16,410 minus 31. 6,790. And here there is a loss, 35. Please ask your doubts if you have any. 50% part is only let out. So 50% municipal tax, 50% expense, ऐसे ही लेंगे. Yes? Where rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent, whichever is lower, and standard rent or actual rent. Actual rent is not low due to vacancy, it is because rent could not realize. वो person ने पैसे नहीं दिए, bed there. Now,
Ma'am, can we set this off 6,790 and 30,000? Can we set this off?
Yeah, we can. I was revising. Definitely, you can set off, and you have to write this as final answer. That 30,000
6,210
and 6,790 is income. So final loss is coming to 23,210. Very good point that you have reminded. If you, I was doing it, but little ahead. I do a lot of repetition. So if you don't write this, you will lose 1 marks out of the 7 marks question. And that's not enough. There is final income from house property. That is 23,210 loss. And they have given you income from other sources in the last line of the question 180. Can we set off house property loss and income from other sources? Yes, we can if this person has opted out of the default tax regime. Now what is that? वो भी हम कल करेंगे. Maybe we will.
Ma'am, I am getting the answer as 56,210.
What? देखो कितना
Okay. Sorry, I did a mistake there. Sorry.
30,000 and 6,790, na? So 23,210 and 23,210 and 1,80,000. So 156,700. Unrealized rent, I'll teach you very nice problem with partition tomorrow. And some income problems related to foreign income and all we will. How much loss is, see, actually, finish writing, beta. Default
Yes, ma'am.
tax regime, no, default tax regime, we have done, there are different tax rates, 3 to 7 lakhs and 7 to 10 lakhs, 10 to 12. Now, there are few expenditures which are not allowed in default tax regime. So after completing every head, I'll make you write a table. And one table is already printed. I'll take default tax regime, pura total after I complete pilots. Because now if I say 35 AD is allowed here not allowed, standard deduction, you will not follow. So as and how we are doing headwise, I'll make you write. So for house property, there's beautiful, important note to be written, not today, tomorrow. But promise me whether you're watching live or recording, if you want to take 100% of the class and if you want to score full 7 out of 7 marks, the house property, dekhte se, in the 15 minutes of reading time, there should be smile on your face. I'm going to get full marks in house property. Let me start. If question number 5 is house property, let me start with house property. MCQs, case scenarios, बहुत important है. इतना you do it perfectly, you will understand tomorrow's part is easier than this. But this much you should know. Partition problem, interest flow chart, GAV how we are doing. Why in self-occupied property sometimes I'm taking 2 lakh interest in 30,000. After doing so much also, when I correct MTP paper, I feel bad when students are writing interest on loan 2 lakh 10,000. No, allowed 2 lakh. But it's a let out property. Let out property and deemed let out property, no upper limit. This 30,000 and 2 lakh is limit only for self-occupied property. So that's all for today's class. Take a printout of the material of house property, 8-10 pages. Do the homework. Don't give me any excuses. ये नहीं था, courier नहीं मिला. We spend it through speed post. The book printing and the courier cost is going to cover up what you have paid. Nothing. Plus the packing and sending a person. He's not going to do my work fee. The one who's going to pack and do the courier. So, but still, if it is taking time, at least take a printout. Don't let any excuse, dampen your spirit, right? Okay. So that's all for today. We close the class. Share this video with as many students who feel कि GAV में ही confusion होता है. तो ये वीडियो वापस से देखो, आपका GAV का confusion clear हो जाएगा. ठीक है? Right? Share it with at least 5 of your friends if you want to learn the concept. If you want to do quality good questions of CA, CMA exam level, then make sure you share it with 5 friends. But tell them ऐसे ही वीडियो देखेंगे तो कुछ नहीं समझेगा. उनके साथ भी वो 4 chapters का material share करो, which I've shared it with you. It's there in the app link below, free resources also. It's there in the website also, right? We close with the prayer. I accept myself. I love myself. I take 100% responsibility of all my actions, behaviors, emotions, decisions. Whatever I'm learning now, I'm able to learn it super fast and reproduce the same in the exam. Feel your exam pen flowing in your hand. And I'm getting abundance in every aspect of my life. Thank you. See you all tomorrow with a wonderful pre-booster activity. जब झपकी लगती है ना तब भस्त्रिका करना है. That we will start the class. Don't be late, okay? Thank you so much. Bye-bye all of you.